Are you ready to align with your vision for the future, but finding yourself facing major blocks and old patterns you thought were healed? Well, you're not alone, and frankly, you're right on time. Join me as we crack the code on the recent full moon and uncover its celestial guidance to navigate through the rest of this year and beyond. So it's like several days after the full moon at 29 Capricorn. Why did I just post this, and why should you continue to watch it? Great questions. The chart we're going to analyze today from July 21st has patterns and directions that will hold throughout the rest of this calendar year and beyond. There are threads in this chart that build directly into the next 25 years as Pluto transitions through Aquarius. So let's talk for a second about why this particular chart is longer lasting than a typical full moon. So first off, there's a lot of specific instruction here. The full moon that we had on June 21st was at 1 Capricorn. The one that just passed on July 21st was at 29 Capricorn. To have full moons back to back at the leading and trailing edge of a sign is not common. So it's important to explore the lessons and themes that came up specifically within the month between moons, as they tell a wider story of what the current energy is asking of us. Because as we move forward, this full moon at 29 Capricorn is conjunct Pluto, which just retrograded back down to 0 Aquarius. In about a month, it will retrograde back to 29 Capricorn for the very last time in our lives. So the full moon here is giving us a thematic clue as to what still needs to be dealt with as Pluto makes its final dip into Capricorn. This will happen early September through November of this year, so this energy is guiding us for essentially the rest of the year. Additionally, to get us from now until September, August will feature a Mercury retrograde from Virgo back to Leo. The core energy of a Mercury retrograde, regardless of sign, is literally revisiting information and reviewing the past in order to create a better future. As it gets closer, we'll talk more about that, and definitely leave me a comment below if you want to crack the code on Mercury retrogrades. So long story short, this has not been a normal full moon. And exploring this particular chart and its themes and applying it to your everyday reality can really help provide direction and instruction to managing this thick, foggy, dense energy through the end of the year. So let's dig into it. So this is the chart for the full moon on July 21st around 6 a.m. The first thing I notice here is the moon 29 Capricorn conjunct Pluto at 0 Aquarius opposed Sun 29 Cancer. You may have heard me mention before, but 29 is the anaretic degree of a sign. As a planet transits, you can think of it as the final burst of energy that tests you and asks if you've learned the lessons of its messages. On this chart, there are 3 planets or luminaries at 29. We have Moon, Sun, and Neptune. So first, we have a really interesting placement of the moon at 29 Capricorn, a foreshadow for what's to come when Pluto moves back into Capricorn from September through November. So the moon thematically represents our emotional body and how we feel. Capricorn is the cardinal earth sign of hard work, decisions, and commitments. 29 also nets to a moon degree, so feelings and emotions are always linked to the testing degree itself. Now alone, that placement as a full moon speaks to a decision or commitment around releasing something that's structural in nature. Something that you know is probably holding you back and blocking you from your own emotional authority. It's grasping for control outside of yourself because you think it's going to keep you safe, when really it's probably just keeping you small. And that alone holds a lot of wisdom. But the reason this holds way longer than normal is because this energy is in conjunction with Pluto at 0 Aquarius. So there are some major differences between the Pluto and Aquarius vibe that we've dipped into this year versus the Pluto and Capricorn energy that up until this year we've been transiting through since 2008. Pluto and Aquarius is about frequency and alignment. It's detached and airy in nature. It's future forward and about finding new, innovative ways to problem solve. It's not necessarily hard work, it's smart work. It's solving problems through navigating things in a different way that's not just brute force and determination, but rather feeling your way through. Aquarius is about community and bringing people together through alignment, but without sacrificing or martyring yourself to do so. And after about 15 years of Pluto, the planet of excavation, power, rebirth, and shadows in Capricorn, a sign known for hard work and commitment, man, is Pluto in Aquarius a very welcome and needed transition. As we live through the Pluto in Capricorn, it feels like at this point, the commitment to excavating shadows around structure of society have been utterly exhausted. But also, look at where we are. This very last ingress of Pluto back into Capricorn will take us right through the heart of US election season. And look what happened on the day of the full moon itself. It's not even close to over. Now, let me make this clear. I am absolutely not here to talk about politics. I don't care what side you're on. This example is being used to illuminate a huge point. As Pluto takes one last rendezvous back into Capricorn, we're being tested and asked one final time to let go of any structure that is not future forward in nature. Say it again for the people in the back. Anything that you've been clinging to out of fear and wanting to feel safe. Now, I'm sorry to be the bearer of bad news, but it's just not going to work anymore. Whether that's government, religion, substances, or relationships, whatever that looks like to you, this theme is not new. It's been breaking down bit by bit for the last 15 years, so none of this should come as a surprise. Think back the last 15 years and the lessons you've learned and unlearned during that time. You are a completely different person going into the Pluto and Capricorn transit, and there's so much humbling in that, but also so much gratitude in the way we've been pressed. Unprecedented event after unprecedented event. I mean, it's kind of a joke at this point, but don't let that make you lose hope, because all of this is very purposeful. It's breaking down systems larger than you or me. It's breaking down beliefs about life and beliefs about the world. We don't have all the answers, and frankly, we won't have all the answers. Because that's exactly what this energy is setting us up for with Pluto and Aquarius, and it's what we've had a nice taste of for the last 7 months or so. Pluto in Aquarius is not about setting a goal and following a foolproof, regimented, proven path that others have done before. It's not step 1, 2, 3 in order, expected. Pluto in Aquarius is about vision. It's about holding a vision so big that it hasn't been seen yet and you have no freaking idea how to get there. And then we get to trust in the vision, feel into the vision. So if you've watched this far into the episode, you know what I mean, even if you can't see it or name it yet. You know in your heart of hearts that there's a better, bigger vision for humanity than what we're doing today. So much bigger than capitalism, so much bigger than politics. People separated and competing against each other. There's so much more than belief system using fear as a tool. So much more than the hustle and the grind. A life beyond simply survival. Frankly, that's not good enough anymore. I know you know this deep within your heart, that we're here to help and be of service to each other. We are here on this lavish and abundant and beautiful earth to find each other and live joyously. So what the fuck are we actually doing right now? That's Pluto in Aquarius. It's a knowing of a greater way to be, but not having any idea how we're going to get there. It's feeling our way through 29th degree moon energy, trusting the next aligned step that's in front of us without having a map and allowing the next step to frankly illuminate as we go. Honestly, if you ask me, that's pure magic. It's the magic of being alive, and it's the magic of being human. Don't let the messiness make you forget why you're here in the first place. And in this last stretch of Pluto and Capricorn, we get one big last time be willing to let go of anything that keeps us small and uninspired. It will not be easy. Capricorn isn't about ease, it's about decisions, maturity, and commitment to excellence. And if you need help navigating this, and we all do sometimes, this is what I'm here to help with, using these charts and energy maps to illuminate the path of least resistance. In the description below is my Calendly link to book a session and a link to order a written chart or reading. And within this channel, so many free resources to help illuminate the way. Now, don't be a stranger. This energy is about service to others, and I'm humbled and honored to be a beacon channeling the directions through these charts and through me to help point you in the right direction. Anyway, we have a lot more to cover. I know that's already been a lot, but why not throw another 29-degree placement in here and have it oppose the Moon-Pluto conjunction? Cancer energy is nurturing. It's mother energy, heartfelt, caretaking vulnerability, self-care, emotional flow. When the sun is in Cancer every June, July, we feel very watery. Tears flow easily, emotions are felt deeply and come in waves. We self-identify through our feelings more so in Cancer season than maybe any other time of the year. We also can be given a handful of situations where life gives us opportunities to caretake ourselves and others. Are we prioritizing our self-care and filling our own cup so that we can be present to fill others? Mother energy can sometimes be martyrdom or codependent in nature. It can sometimes be so soft that it's overridden by other harsh realities. How did you spend the last month? Did you honor your feelings and allow them to move through you? Were you loving and caring to yourself? These are the mission of Sun in Cancer season. And I admit, that one was a doozy for a lot of us. In my own life, I basically spent the last 3 weeks deeply triggered about finances and survival. And not just mild anxious concern, I mean full-blown nervous system overload, ancient karmic wounding, survival fears triggered. In some ways, I lost sight of my own self-care practices, but in other ways, I doubled down into healing modalities. Part of me wants to be upset that I didn't rest more and care for myself more. I didn't have enough fun yet this summer. But instead, I'm choosing to shift my focus to giving myself grace and compassion and mercy here, and mother myself. Because the future forward version of myself requires more compassion, more empathy, for myself, but also for humanity. That's what aligns with Pluto in Aquarius, future forward vision for your life. And it took a rather dark experience of this Cancer season to remind me of that. Remember, no matter how challenging these energies can feel, there's a lesson in everything. And the lesson isn't about being hard on yourself for what you didn't know. The lesson is about awareness of patterns, fear, and structure that have been blocking you from alignment with the truest, most authentic expression of who you are. It's about the experience, not perfection. So as the sun moves out of Cancer and into Leo, it's reminding us exactly what lies on the cusp of Cancer and Leo energies. It's reminding us how to feel and nurture the individuality and self-expression that lie in our hearts. So now we have those energies in an opposition. But remember, oppositions aren't truly about fighting each other, although it can absolutely feel that way. The lesson and the tension of oppositions are about finding balance. So although Sun has already moved on from this configuration and into Leo, the messages of the opposition lie in trusting that deep intuitive Pluto and Aquarius vibe that we spoke about earlier. Trusting the highest vision you have for yourself, your life, and humanity. And in the messy, unknowing, being committed to taking care of yourself through it all. You're safe. You are empathetic. You use your feelings to navigate, but they don't define or consume you. What defines you is your compassion and your ability to connect with others on behalf of unity consciousness itself. As the waves of emotion crash down, you're aware and you're able to make the choice to nurture yourself through the commitment not to a greater other, but through practices and rituals that calm your nervous system, so that you may extract the lessons and use the emotions as navigation tools, which will then leave you fortified to help do the same for others. We are all walking each other back to wholeness. Now, I know that's easy for me to say, and I mean a lot harder to execute in real time. But there's no perfection here. This lesson is a glimpse as to how we live in Pluto and Aquarius for the next 19 years. It won't be a drawn-out map. It's going to be through flow and feeling our way through, choosing ourselves so that we can help guide the way for others. It's like when you're on the plane and the safety message says to put your oxygen mask on before assisting others. It's not selfish, it's leadership. It's mother energy. So how do we do that? Well, I'm glad you asked. So this chart gives us some clues because the opposition is supported by a cradle. A cradle in astrology is when an opposition is supported by two planets that form a sextile with each other. Those same two planets are in crossing trines with the planets involved in the opposition. In this case, the two planets in the sextile that form the base of the cradle are Neptune at 29 Pisces and Uranus at 26 Taurus. However, this chart adds even more depth because the Uranus placement is still influenced by the conjunction with Mars, which has now shifted over to 0 Gemini. Definitely check out last week's episode to explore and crack the code on the long-term implications of that conjunction. I think it's kind of sweet that we're exiting Cancer season through the formation of a cradle. In the bigger picture, I feel like this is doing exactly what Cancer energy does. It's comforting us through the tension of our growth. Think of the function of a cradle in our world. It's a bed that offers little comforting shifts back and forth that lull a baby to sleep. So to find the comfort in the opposition, we can look into the sextile of the base of the cradle for instructions. So on last week's episode, I spoke in depth about the far-reaching long-term lessons and guidance of the Uranus-Mars conjunction in Taurus. How its ultimate goal is to align our actions and transform our beliefs about the world and life itself. It can be a battle between reaction and taking action that will result in long-term improvement of life. That theme continues to hold, of course. But as Mars moves to 0 Gemini, we start to take actions that are a match to the energy of information and understanding, that are in alignment with those bigger visions of Pluto and Aquarius. To me, this is less about persistence, but more about getting real comfortable with experimentation. Although both Sun and Moon have since moved on from this configuration, we take the lessons with us. Experimentation will require both self-nurturing compassion from the Sun in Cancer and be guided through the emotional waves in navigation. You can feel what's in alignment and what's not. Every action you take will not be perfect, but that's the nature of experimentation itself. That is literally the process of science. You make an educated guess based on the information, Gemini, that you have at the moment, and then you take action, Mars, and see if it's a match. I have a process for this that I'll talk about a bit later in this episode, but the answers can be cut and dry. If you're willing to keep a detached and non-judgmental Aquarian outlook, the timing is perfect as we leave Cancer season behind because, damn, it does not all have to be so personal. Experimenting and making mistakes is part of life and learning, and that's the energy we are in for the foreseeable future. So your path of least resistance is to align with the energy of experimentation and seeing where it leads rather than believing you need a full-out plan and that you know the final outcome. Because I can promise you with certainty that you do not. You don't know the path. You cannot control the obstacles, Uranus, and you may end up somewhere completely different than where you intended. But that's not a bad thing. Now I know that's scary, but it's the nature of our existence. It's the control systems that we are breaking down in Capricorn that are leading you to believe that the unknown is bad and that by following something bigger than you, government, religion, capitalism, whatever it is, that you'll be safe. And in many cases that has held true, but at what cost? And remember, there's no fault in believing in the systems that indoctrinate families and condition our society. We all want to make it easier, and following the known can sometimes feel that way. So don't get down on yourself for following a path that was presented as safety. It's designed to do that. But what if the outcome created for you by these systems is not actually keeping you safe, but rather keeping you trapped, enslaved, and attached to antiquated ideals that aren't even your own? Is the American dream even really your dream? Or is it the dream you were told to believe in? The American dream is killing me. The American dream is killing me. When it's all double talk of conspiracy. The American dream is killing me. Which brings us to Neptune 29 Pisces. Neptune is spirituality, intuition, and subconscious. It's transcendence. Compassion and healing are magnified. It rules the sign of Pisces and the 12th house, so energy of what can't be seen and what lies beneath the surface is magnified when Neptune transits Pisces. This isn't new, as Neptune, a slow outer planet, has been in Pisces since 2011-2012. Another glimpse at why this energy holds longer than a normal full moon is this aspect to major themes of Neptune at the anaretic degree of Pisces. Right now, and 2 more times in the next 2 years, Neptune will be at the 29th degree of Pisces before it finally moves on to Aries for its next major transit. Neptune is currently retrograde, so it's moving backwards through the degrees until December of this year. It's actually going to station down to 27 degrees before moving forward again. So basically, Neptune is telling us to listen up. We have already crossed this degree and we're moving back through it, only to cross it again in 2025 and after another retrograde again in 2026. Just like how Pluto moves back and forth slowly, easing us into the energy and giving us a taste of what's to come, while solidifying the lessons of the transit, Neptune is doing the same thing here. So Neptune in Pisces at the base of the cradle is giving us specific support in finding the balance of the opposition. Sextile to Mars conjunct Uranus, these placements are essentially talking to each other and supporting the greater goal. Part of this message is to trust your intuition. We're being bombarded with information, and it will get more intense as we move towards Mars conjunct Jupiter in Gemini, the sign of information and understanding, which occurs at 16 degrees on August 14th of this year. So part of these unprecedented times are linked directly to Uranus involvement, meant to shake us out of our comfort zone in support of transformation, and well, it's doing a fantastic job. As part of that conversation in the sextile between Neptune and Uranus, which has been and will hold for quite a while since both planets are slow AF, it's showing us that in no uncertain terms, the truth can be relative. And well, no one likes to hear that. With Mars' involvement right now and a plethora of worldly and political and religious events and situations, unconscious, unaware people are doubling down on their beliefs. What they don't realize is the conditioned fear reactive pattern of that. The placements are triggering that not to torture you, but to wake you up. Because right now, courtesy of Neptune retrograde, everything seems really foggy. We are in a shitstorm of information, but we've yet to really step into understanding. And that won't be served to us on a platter from a greater entity. That's not what Pluto in Aquarius is about. Understanding, beliefs, integrity, spirituality, it's going to come from within you. It's going to come from aligning with your intuition and your authenticity and your vision. And that's going to take practice and experimentation. Because this energy of coming into consciousness is new for every single human alive on the planet right now. The ability to discern what's real and what's noise is very foggy at the moment, and it's only just starting to crank up. I think some people may be triggered by my next sentence, but so be it. Triggers are our teachers. They offer direction on where we get to apply more love and more healing energy. Anyway, I think part of this repeated Neptune and Pisces anaretic degree pattern is teaching us that reality is truly what we make of it. The truth is your truth. Manifestation of your reality is directly linked to your belief system about what's actually possible. That's why we are breaking down structures that are keeping us powerless, Pluto and Capricorn. That's why this energy is teaching us that old wounds and fear don't get to dictate new decisions. Pluto and Capricorn transitioning into Pluto and Aqua. That's why we're taking action, Mars, in alignment with something we can't see but intuitively know to be bigger than us and what we're experiencing currently. That's why our emotional navigation is the guide, because reality as we know it to be is not actually a solid. It's pliable. It projects. It builds and rebuilds based on frequency and vibration. So truth isn't always true. Just like science is only science until the next experiment proves something different or expands upon prior limiting beliefs. That's why commitment to the vision is the new goal beyond commitment to the structure. That's why self-compassion as we learn is so important. Because attachment to a specific outcome doesn't indicate success. As we move into Leo season, we're asked to lead with our hearts and not our ego. Having a hypothesis, doing an experiment, and being right, that's great for the ego. We're actively creating what we then adopt as truth. But being wrong is such a huge opportunity to learn something unexpected that will transform our beliefs. You're honest. So instead of being hard on yourself about being wrong or fearing being wrong, we get to be open to learning and applying our learning to our subsequent actions. And that in turn generates and manifests the next steps of the journey. That's how we create new worlds with healthy Aquarian non-attachment. It's active, but it also involves a level of surrendering attachment to the outcome. Masculine and feminine energy balance. The masculine sun at 29 in feminine Cancer opposed the feminine moon at 29 in masculine Capricorn. There's deep karmic healing of spirituality and reality and duality itself on offer here. The nodes in Aries and Libra. I wasn't sure if I was going to talk about this, lest the episode become lengthy, but since we are on the topic of oppositions, balancing, and the nodes, part of the reason this chart is so important and long-lasting is that there's a second, less prominent cradle at play. It's harder to see because it involves the oppositions of the nodes, which are always in opposition at every moment. When you understand the opposition of the nodes, I think it gives more clarity to how oppositions function in general. In a person's birth chart, South Node represents their comfort zone and what they are naturally good at, but won't necessarily lead to growth. Some people can get stuck in the patterning of their South Nodes, while others find the gifts of their South Node aren't acknowledged and they feel lost about who they are and what their strengths are in the world. By the way, if that sounds like you, I can absolutely help with that. Nodes are one of my favorite areas of the chart and my zone of genius. Use the links below to reach out or book some time with me and we can look at yours together. Anyway, the North Node gives us direction for our lives and can be seen as the North Star of this incarnation. It's where we are headed and growing towards through utilizing the gifts of our South Node. Those energies are always in tension with each other. Do we sink into comfort patterning or do we grow? The collective node transit remains in a sign for about a year and a half. So we're about a year into North Node Aries with South Node Libra, and we'll stay in this until January 2025. Collective South Node Libra is about balance, judgment, peace, beauty. It's Venus feminine ruled. North Node Aries is about leading with heartfelt empowerment and bravery. It's protecting vulnerability from the masculine perspective. And that sometimes does require warrior force. The tension in the opposition can be between superficial judgment versus leading with heart. And damn if I didn't fall back into a pocket of self-judgment over the last few weeks. Whew! I'm only now starting to see how giving myself grace, but also being empowered simultaneously. That feeling of being pulled one way and essentially falling into a shadowy hole of energy, but constantly finding the strength to pull yourself out of it through remembering your why. That's the exact tension that an opposition is all about. Remember, for something to be balanced and fair, that includes you, meaning there's really no place for harsh judgment of self and decisions. That kind of energy is low vibe self-abandonment. It can be the tension between softness and force, passive receiving versus taking aligned action. At the moment of this chart, the nodes are at 9 degrees, which is Mars, action-oriented. Will our actions be guided by alignment, or will they be reactive? Will they support the greater balance and harmony, or will they protect vulnerability and build community? Or will they be self-centered, ego, survival mode coming from fear? Supporting that tension is direction from the sextile at the base of the cradle. Jupiter at 12 degrees Gemini and Venus at 11 degrees Leo. So Jupiter 12 Gemini is like the information superhighway, but on steroids. 12 nets to 3, which is the Jupiter degree. So take info and understanding of Aries Gemini and expand that with Jupiter. And then expand it again. Suddenly, the whole Earth is information overload. However, another quality of Gemini is youthful curiosity. And that's where the experimentation factor we spoke about earlier comes in. Gemini loves information. Gemini is known to change their minds quickly. In pop astrology, people rag on Gemini for that. Now, I'm a Gemini sun, and we're seen as unreliable and untrustworthy because of our mutability. So, In this Jupiter and Gemini transit, which started in late May of this year and will last until June of 2025, as a Gemini sun, I feel like I have a cheat sheet on this energy. And many air signs do. Being curious, experiential, and malleable is the name of the game. Those with heavy Capricorn or Virgo may not like that so much. Y'all want a plan and you want to stick to it. And you want to know that what you're working on will give you the desired outcome. So lean into this Gemini energy because it knows how to shift. To support the tension caused by the opposing nodes, we get to utilize youthful curiosity to explore the information influx and transmute it into new beliefs. The Pluto and Aquarius energy is like, hey, while you're at it, don't get too attached to those beliefs. Don't make it your entire personality. But perhaps use it to build the vision for what you want your life to look like. Align that with your North Node and build the life you were here to live. And that's exactly how you heal yourself and become a beacon that can help others do the same with their lives. And this is in support of and supported by Venus, the ruler of Libra, at 11 Leo. 11 nets to the moon degree, which is emotion coming through again. Like last week's conversation about Taurus, another Venus-ruled sign, quality of life and receiving, balance, peace, and flow are highlighted here again. In Leo, this gets to be driven by joy, by the passion of your heart, by creativity and self-expression. For me, this brought up a bit of self-loathing about how I operate in the world. But the trigger wasn't to stay in self-loathing, it was to illuminate where I needed to find my actual empowerment and my own special cheat code for receiving harmony, balance, and quality of life. So how does this work together to support the greater balance of where humanity is going while utilizing things that we are comfortable and good at? Just imagine for a moment. Living a life totally aligned with your passion in service to peace, unity, and harmony. You get to use your gifts in creative, self-expressive ways. Imagine being driven not by fear, but rather by curiosity, experimentation, joy, and the pursuit of greater harmony and balance for all. That's the life Venus and Leo wants for all of us. And that the North Node Aries wants us to be empowered by. That gives you clues to the lessons of the nodes that intertwine with the Pluto and Aquarius greater vision for humanity itself. Imagine vetting and discerning information and experiences through experimentation with no attachment to the outcome, so that you may approach life and relationships in a balanced, harmonious, curious way. Imagine power being used strictly to protect vulnerability and not for personal gain at the expense of each other. Is this a future you can even imagine? If not, that's okay. It's completely reasonable, given the current climate, to feel so far away from that. If anything, that's what this energy is showing us. So tuck it into your awareness for now. I know you know that that's the goal of this energy. We don't have to know how to get there yet. We're only at the very beginning of Pluto and Aquarius. Right now, we're specifically being shown what is not working. So we're building new worlds from heart and not from our past karma and trauma. We're seeing what isn't future forward, what's out of balance. What we're being asked to let go of is highlighted because it is a full moon after all. But don't get stuck in that. We're not here to stay in suffering. Hope and possibility are always alive. And they grow through our vision and aligned action in support of our belief in it. And that's what I mean by active manifestation. For at least the next 6 months, while the North Node is still in Aries, we are driven and action-oriented. By the time it shifts back to Pisces, we'll be having a different conversation. But right now, it's about learning aligned action in a variety of ways. Some of which mean letting go, surrendering, transforming, believing in something bigger than you, but not because someone is telling you to, but because you know in your heart, in your intuition, in your soul. If you've studied metaphysics or esoterics in any capacity, you might be familiar with the three brains concept. I learned this through the teaching of Deepak Chopra, The mind-heart-gut connection through the vagus nerve serves as the link between our cognitive, emotional, and physical selves. It's how our thoughts, feelings, and actions influence and are influenced by each other, and how our mind, heart, and body work together as a whole system. I bring this up because I feel like that's represented in this overlying cradle aspects of the chart. We have the energy of the head represented through Jupiter and Gemini, trying to transform how we perceive the world and what we truly believe, and testing our commitment to expanding that vision in ways we can't yet see through Neptune and Pisces. We have the decisions and commitments through the Capricorn energy. Then there's the emotional energy of the heart brain. Our feelings are represented by the full moon combined with Venus at the moon degree, as well as the subtextual moon degree that Neptune, moon, and sun are at 29. And the often misinterpreted gut brain, where we combine physical action, Mars, driven by the nodes at 9 degrees, with our intuition, Neptune and Pisces. When our three brains are working in harmony, Venus and Libra, we experience better physical and mental health, increased creativity, improved performance, and greater happiness. However, when the connection is out of balance, we can experience a range of physical, emotional, and mental health problems. That throws us into survival mode and we grasp at control, which is the lower octave of Capricorn energy. What if the systems we are perceiving as keeping us safe are really just utilizing fear to limit our own inner navigation? That's what this full moon in Capricorn and the impending Pluto dip into 29 Capricorn is trying to show us. What if, instead of listening to someone else, we simply took every situation and ran it through the filter of our three brains? Number 1, what is the information telling us? Number 2, what are my feelings trying to tell me? Number 3, what does my intuition tell me? Based on the results of those three questions, we become empowered on our own. We don't have to ask anyone for permission. And based on the results, we can then ask a fourth question. Do these align with the vision I hold for my life and the future of collective humanity? That is the message of this chart and the direction we can take with us as we move into a new era. We will need to discern our way through chaos, decide what's real to us and what we truly believe in. Pluto in Capricorn energy was about hard work. But as we move into the future, it really can be as simple as matching our inner alignment and frequency with the integrity of our authentic beliefs and desires for humanity. We just first have to let go of everything in the way of that. And the 29 degrees littered within this chart are simultaneously testing our commitment to ourselves and to that vision of the new world we want to build. Pluto energy doesn't move quietly, and frankly, it doesn't ask your opinion. This energy is here and we're all under it, whether or not you willingly participate. Moving through this energy, it's your choice to take the rough patches and internalize them and lose hope. Or you can receive them with humbled gratitude as information about where you need to loosen your grip and attachment to a specific outcome. The choice is yours. You can make it rough, or you can let it flow, 'cause it won't stop. Thank you so much for watching this episode. I hope the information contained here resonated with you as much as it did with me. I hope it offered some guidance and some navigational depth for the current energy pocket we're in. Hopefully this series gives you a feel for how I read charts and how this information from your own chart could potentially help you identify and approach strengths and patterns within your own life. Interested in your own energy analysis and guidance session? Comment below, reach out directly via DM or email, or visit my site, sunmoonrisingshop.com, where you'll find my contact info, self-service written astrology energy analysis, fun astrology merch, and more. For daily content linking the astrology to aspects of grounded healing and real-life applications, follow me on Instagram at sun.moon.rising.bliss. And for more energy guidance, readings, as well as guided meditations to help wire in these energies, like, comment on this video, and subscribe to this channel. Once again, sending out gratitude for any support you'd like to offer for alignment with my greater mission of service to others. Thanks for listening, believing in me, and having an open mind and heart. Much love and let it flow, 'cause it won't stop.